On the second day of the 9th edition of Raisina Dialogue 2024, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has again called for radically reforming the United Nations Security Council. He was speaking on the session named A Tapestry of Truth. Can the two hemispheres agree? The panel included Foreign Minister of Netherlands, Anke Brun Slot, Bolivia's former President, Horst Quiroga, Diplomatic Advisor to the UAE, President Anwar bin Mohammed Gargash, and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Tanzania, January Yusuf Makamba. Dr. Jaishankar said all big issues haven't found multilateralism, though the sentiment for change is strong. Notably, there have been several calls for reforms and more balanced and responsive representation in five-membered council.
If you take the UN, when the UN was invented, it had at least about approximately 50 members. We have 4 times the members. So it's a common sense proposition that you can't continue the same way when you have 4 times the members. We use the UN very often to illustrate that point. We've also seen, if you look at the last 5 years, all the big issues, in a way, we have not been able to find multilateral solutions. So the results are also, or the lack of results demonstrate the case for reform.
Jaishankar further emphasized on global rebalancing. India in the past decade has joined some 36 different alliances. The minister categorically said new reality is going to be more pragmatic.
I'm giving India's case now. I looked at the last decade. We have actually initiated or joined 36 different alliances or groups or coalitions or whatever it is in very different fields, from Big Cat and solar to disaster resilient and Quad. What is happening today is there's a log jam up there. So because there's a log jam up there, everybody's doing their own thing, finding their own friends, making their own groups, depicting their own issues, and creating the new reality. So the new reality is actually going to be much less disciplined. It's going to be more fragmented in many ways, but it will still be effective.
And during the conversations, Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation of Tanzania, Yusuf Makamba, called out the double standards in application of international laws.
I don't think that the current system works for us. We see a lot of hypocrisy in the way we deal with international issues that concerns us. We see double standards in application of international law. There is tremendous mistrust in the global economic and political architecture. We know that, and people talk about rule-based order, but the two key words here are rules and order. Who makes the rule? And we think that the current setup from the beginning has been not working for us.
And for more on the Raisina Dialogue, DD India correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us live. Jessica, with reference to Dr. Jaishankar's interventions, how is the argument for UNSC reform and India's rightful place in it gaining momentum?
Well, yesterday, you might remember in his address, the Greek Prime Minister also said that we need to give up our double standards and look at countries like India, which are taking center stage when it comes to its economic output and its value. Of course, given the fact that multilateral institutions, especially the World Bank and the UNSC, have not been all-inclusive of, in fact, the Global South, and India, of course, being a prominent player now in the global economic output, certainly it has been demanding a change in the Western financial architecture and also other policy forums which are heavily westernized and do not include developing nations. Now, these are the same disputes that are also pending at the World Trade Organization as well. So, of course, the demand for these multilateral institutions to cater to the problems and issues of the developing world has become even more important. You'd recall how the explanation that has gone into why these multilateral institutions need to change. Dr. S. Jaishankar, India's foreign minister, also said that in the last decade, India has either joined or initiated 36 multilateral forums and discussions, which in itself is significant given the fact that India not emerging just as a voice of the global south, but also gradually enforcing the change that is desperately needed, especially when it comes to institutions, world institutions dominated by the West and their architecture.
Jessica, thank you for those updates.